Welcome, 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 guys. It is Yana-Lu with Chew and Chat, and this is an amazing day today. I have an extraordinary guest, guys, that he is so delicious. He is amazing. And what's amazing about him is he is running for your now Democratic Party for the Secretary of State. Not only that, he's an African-American brother that's doing great things in the city of Atlanta, wanting to hear your issues and your situations, never a problem, to turn things around for a greater good. So welcome, Mr. John Eaves. How are you?
Yana-Lu, I am fabulous. It's a beautiful day. I mean, what else can a brother ask for?
I mean,
a woman, everything.
Besides me, I don't know. It is great. John, it is so amazing to have you here. And I mean, I'm honored to have you here, even to be able to sit on this Capitol ground where we are going to put you in. So guys, make sure when it's time to vote, we're lifting up this brother, okay? This gentleman, this man, this perfect person for this position, right?
It's absolutely. So we're kind of in the eastern side of downtown, but in the backdrop, as you pointed out, is the state capitol, and it's a beautiful day.
Yeah.
And we just almost what they said, a stone's throw away.
Stone throw away. You know, the part I love about it is it's where you're going to be, and we're right here with the people that you're going to be assisting.
Yeah.
You know, so tell me a little bit about what it is that you plan to do, John, because I know we need a lot of help. We need a lot of ears. We need a lot of participation from the people within the city to pay attention to what you're saying so you can be able to turn things around for, you know, a greater cause.
So great question. I think the first thing, though, is really to explain the position. You know, interestingly, today I was talking with some students in Lovejoy High School about Secretary of State's office, and they had no clue of what it was, but it was a great exchange.
Help us.
So, I mean, this is one of the most powerful positions in the state of Georgia.
Yes.
I often say that second only to the governor's position, Secretary of State can be one of them, is the most powerful. It deals with elections, which is front center with most Georgians, particularly Black folks. But it's the corporations division, all folks who have small businesses, corporations, companies, they have to get registered with the Secretary of State. And then there's licensing, so folks who have various professions, electrician, plumbing, doctors, lawyers, nurses, etc., who have license certification requirements. Secretary of State is responsible for that. And then fourthly, something called the securities industry. So it's not security as in securing a building, but securities in terms of financial transactions, banks and regulatory standards, private equity financing, retirement accounts. If your mother or grandmother is being scammed by somebody, Secretary of State can investigate.
You can investigate that.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that's something that we really do need because a lot of elderly people are getting taken advantage of because people want to start their business, but, you know, you're doing bad business. And it's pretty bad, guys, when we have to rip off the elderly, correct?
It's shameful. I mean, my mother's 82 years old, and she tells me gets calls every day.
Wow.
People wanting to buy her house. She lives in Jacksonville, Florida, and not to mention all the other calls that come in. And so she's still a pretty good sound mind, and so she's able to handle it. She hangs up typically.
Okay.
But it's to me, when a person goes after elderly or children, they're really the scummies.
It really is. And guys, I can tell you what he's speaking about, Secretary of State, I am a byproduct of that because when I opened up my salon off in Buckhead off of Sandy Springs, West Wyuka Road, big ups to them. Thank you for my opportunity. But now we're growing. But I had to come through the Secretary of State for licensing and all those things. So it's an important house to be in to get some important things done because basically anything in the city that you want to do, we have to come through you.
Almost. I mean, it's really a wide sweeping office. I mean, as you pointed out, folks who want to get a business. Now, some people are part of what's called the gig economy. There was cash transactions, and I don't advise that.
That's right.
It's best to be a legal entity, and you're eligible for a lot of things, whether it's a PPP loan or SBA loan or whatever. But you have to go to the Secretary of State's office, and I want to make more out of that office than this. Right now, it's basically a bill collector. It just gets you a $100 fee every year.
Yeah.
And you don't get much in return.
I need your help because they're down there right now trying to charge me when I close my business. So you hurry up and get on in there. I'll tackle that when you get in the house. So is there anything that we can do in order to educate ourselves more or to put ourselves in a better light in order to get these businesses?
Yeah, so the good news is, Georgia is special. There are 1.1 million small businesses in Georgia.
Wow, I did not know that.
It's a lot. So it's a population of about 11 million people. So basically 1 out of 11 people has a small business. So it's a lot of small businesses in Georgia. And 35% of those are Black owned. So we have a large percentage of Black folks in Georgia. We're entrepreneurial, particularly in the Atlanta area. Unfortunately, about 20% fail after the first year.
Okay.
And 30% fail after the second year. So there's a great opportunity, great need to try to help those small businesses to make it past the first year. So it's the ABCs of small business ownership. I mean, both of us do it. Sometimes it's a headache dealing with the accounting aspect and all the paperwork. But, you know, sometimes those things sink the business. So I want to make the Secretary of State's office proactive, providing education and support for small business owners.
I love it. Guys, y'all hear it right here, front and center, fresh off the pot, okay? Like some Jamaican cuisine. You understand what I'm saying? And I tell you, so is there some things that we need to know about voting when it's time to put you in this house? And we're sitting here in front of this big gold building, because this is where this gentleman is getting ready to go, okay? So what is it that we need to educate ourselves on about the knowledge of voting so that we can help you get into your house?
Yeah. So there are some steps to voting. I mean, first of all, I tell people to always check your status. Don't assume that just because you registered, and you may or may not have voted whenever, that you're active. So go to the Secretary of State's office. There's a website, and you can put your formal name, John Eaves, and it can tell you whether you're an active voter or not. If you're not an active voter, just re-register, putting your information in. You can do that. So it's pretty simple. Okay. So make sure you're registered to vote. As I mentioned, I had a fabulous exchange this morning at Lovejoy High School. So we had 17-year-old kids and some 18-year-old kids, but none of them were registered to vote. So I went on to educate them about why voting was important. I asked them, what are some problems you got in society? Oh, the traffic light doesn't work. Right. Or there's a pothole in the street. Or there's too many guns in the streets or whatever. I said, well, you have to vote to put people in office who represent you to change the laws. So we adults sometimes don't necessarily understand how important voting is. So I try to educate 17 and 18-year-olds this morning. But it's a pretty simple process. Register. Okay. And once you register and you vote, make sure you periodically check your status on whether you're an active voter or not. So now once you get in house, do you see yourself, since you do see the lack of knowledge that's going on, to collaborate with these companies that, are here to educate, but do you plan on getting out in the street yourself and trying to educate and just put together more opportunities for them to be able to be fed the information on what's the importance, because guys, voting for the president is not just a thing. The president is just a face. I need y'all to know that. He's just a face. This is who makes the decision in the city, right? Okay. And after the president is voted in, then we have to go for other things that we have to vote in. So now, John, with you being here running for the Secretary of State, and I'm already put him in the house, guys, so make sure you go and vote. So what else should we be voting for outside of just the Secretary of State? Because I don't think the world knows that. That's a lack of education. Yeah. So every year, there is usually a slate of people who are re-elected or elected for a particular office. Some years it's city officials. Okay. Other years it's state and federal officials. And then every 4 years it's the president of the United States. And every 6 years it's a senator. So every year there is somebody who you vote for. So it's not any one given year that you don't vote for anybody. So you just have to, number one, know who you're voting for. So there you go. Again, going to the school this morning was really, I love it. Because I teach at Spelman College, and you have to educate people on government. There's city government, there's county government, there's state government, there's federal government. And sometimes people don't understand which government is responsible for what. And that's what I want the people to know. Yeah, so you got my byproduct of Spelman, but that's what I want people to know. Yeah. So city government typically is responsible for police, fire, zoning, if you want a housing development done, and if the developer wants to get it done and the residents don't want to get it done, there's usually a battle about approving it or not. That's city government. Okay. County government's responsible for elections and public health and criminal justice and court system and jails. And then state government is responsible for statewide agencies, Department of Motor Vehicles, etc. And then the federal government is responsible for laws, is responsible for Medicare, Medicaid, the Interstate 75, 85 is going up and down Atlanta, I-20. They're responsible for federal things, so federal highway system. They regulate the airplane industry, the airline, FAA, Federal Aviation Administration. So you have various levels of government. So when you have a problem, if there's a problem with your street, you don't go to the congressman.
Y'all hear
you don't go to the president. No, you go to the city council.
We're getting these great nuggets from this guy right now. He's teaching you guys some things about where to go, what to do. And if you listen to the name, it's basically going to direct you right to what it is.
Sometimes, but sometimes it's straightforward. Sometimes it's not.
Okay.
You just have to understand government.
Okay.
And so, but on each level of government, there is a representative. There's a city council person. There's a congressman or woman. There's a mayor. There's a county commissioner. There's a chairman. There's a state senator. There's a U.S. senator. There's a House of Representatives. So there's a representative that represents you and I on every level of government, and we vote for them or don't vote for them. And if you don't vote for them, they speak on your behalf, and whether you like it or not.
Right.
And so I just kind of broke it down to the kids this morning. I said, what do you do every day?
Right.
I get up in the morning, I brush my teeth, I take a shower, I put my clothes on. I said, what if I said you have to take a shower first, then eat later,
Yeah.
I was trying to make the point. I can make decisions for you if you don't choose the right person.
Ooh, that's powerful.
Yeah, so people sometimes think they have a lot of autonomy, and they do, but we obviously are controlled by laws and regulations based on what people who are in office decide on our behalf.
And you know something that's so funny? I was sharing with Bill Nelson, and I was sharing with Mr. Patrick also, which was with COTV. I was sharing with them that one of the things that I wanted to do, and I wanted to bring across your ear, is to have this land that we're sitting on right here and parks all around Georgia and anywhere, any state that the people are, is for the African Americans to lay across the land in blankets with their children and their fruit baskets, and we're reading the books of the law, educating themselves. Because I think a lot of the times we get caught up in the everyday life and judging people about where they are, where they're from, without remembering, because I'm at my humble beginning, remembering where we came from.
Right.
Because once we get in these positions and put these suits on and these nice pencil skirts on and, get to looking fancy, we're more so about the law than we are really about the people. And it's the people that we come running to that we need to vote us in house when it's that time. But what about us on a day-to-day?
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day.
And I like that you get involved with the students and you're tapping into it, and you're at Spelman, you're doing these great things, and that's a give back, and that's what we need, people like you.
It is. And in fact, Spelman, and even to a certain degree today, really affirmed my value. And what I mean by that is my life experiences, being able to share with people who are the future leaders. That's my role in life right now. And, a friend of mine said, John, why are you going to Lovejoy High School today? There's nobody going to vote for you. I'm campaigning. But I got great value, Yana, in working with the young people. And maybe some of them will vote for me in the future or get involved. In fact, I told them, I said, vote and also consider running for office one day.
Okay, so two things. Spelman, me, and Lovejoy. I had a daughter over at Lovejoy, and that area needs people like yourself getting out, because it's your face with you running that you're making yourself open and touchable and tangible to the people. And it's people like John that we need that comes out. And he didn't know Yana-Lu from Adam, but thank God for good company, right? Sean Hutchinson, we're going to give you a big ups for that.
He's good connected.
We'll give Sean Hutchinson a great big ups for that. But, I'm grateful to be able to have you here and to even be able to hear you express your love for the school. Because no matter what we say, guys, do you still see this gentleman reverts right back to that experience that you had with these students?
Yeah.
I
mean, so you had predominantly Black student population, and you pointed out the principal who I got a chance to meet, and there were two other elected officials who spoke today.
Right.
So it was called Voter Registration Day at Lovejoy. And the fact that you had someone aspiring to be Secretary of State, former chairman of Fulton County, speaking to the kids on their level, breaking it down, challenging them, I thought it was a very meaningful experience for them. And I said, being almost as affirmative as you are, I said, you know what? A year from now, you might be looking at TV and may see me on TV and you may say, oh, that guy spoke in my class.
He came in my class.
But it was such a meaningful experience. And one of my greatest joys is really working with young people. So
Amen.
I like I love teaching, love education. I love college students, but I actually enjoyed working with high school students as well.
And that's beautiful because, you know, the youth is the new people that's going to be over our head today.
Right.
It's kind of scary. I'm going to tell y'all now. Children, clean it up. When you have an opportunity to have someone as John, as myself, and even the camera guys that's behind us that reached toward our dreams and didn't let it stop us, because we all have our own colorful or beautiful, you know, opportunities in life that we've overcome. But when you have this opportunity before you, you have to reach out and grab it and take advantage. So you're now the new hero. Because you walked in this school. My stepdaughter, big ups to Michaela Lewis from Lovejoy. Yay, she graduated. But you walked into this place of non-hope and you brought hope. That is beautiful. Yeah. And that's what we need.
And on top of that, I affirmed the students. So what I mean by affirmed the students, I quizzed them a little bit on, I said, I'm a professor at Spelman College.
That's right.
Expose you to some things I taught to college level students. So some of the stuff I was sharing with them, they didn't really know. So I kind of brought them along. And after going through this whole process, talking about the 15th Amendment and the 19th Amendment and the Voting Rights Act and all this other type of stuff, I said, you know what? You all are a smart group of kids.
Wow.
And I can see that they
showed us that up.
You know, so particularly the boys in the class, you know, I asked them about what they would change. Many of them said social justice issues.
Okay.
Some of them said, I want to get guns off the streets. I want to change the gun laws. And so sometimes you look at the TV, all you see sometimes is violence with black males. These kids in the school saying, we want to change.
We want to change them.
There's too many of them. So
what's your thought process on this new law?
It's awful. So it's called constitutional carry. And it basically says that the Constitution, the Second Amendment says you have the right to bear arms. No limitations, basically. So you can carry almost an unconcealed weapon, and it's awful. It's just heightening. It's not going to do anything to solve crime. I think it's playing to the fears of some Georgians. Yes. I think the governor and the legislature is playing to what's called their base, trying to rile them up. And I think it's just fear, but it's not going to solve one problem in our society in terms of crime. And that's true, John, because, you know, from my perspective, and this is not John's perspective, but it's mine, from my perspective, it just gives the cops a better reason to take our children out. And I'm just breaking it down in layman's terms, okay? Because if we have games, this one game, I just totally would not allow it in my house. It's called Grand Theft Auto, right? And I have to speak about it because this game allows children to learn how to rape. You rape people in this game. You blast people's body in this game. You have profanity like no other in this game. And so what is it putting inside of our children today? And that's sad because I think the government knows that that's the way it's geared because our children are the new presidents, the mayors, the senators, the secretary of states. That's what it is. But if we're feeding them nothing but garbage, can you imagine the world when they get our age? Yeah, I mean, so some of this desensitized. Yes, distractions. So there's something in me, my teaching and what I was exposed to that would not allow me to do certain things from you or anybody else because you're a human being. Correct. You're a person. You can be my sister, you can be my girlfriend or whatever. I wouldn't do it because the humanness that we share. But I think sometimes some of these things that our kids are exposed to, whether it's movies or games, it desensitizes. Yes. And some people don't necessarily differentiate fiction from reality. So the game scenario is a fictional thing, even though it looks real life. But sometimes people can't separate getting into the game and then going out and seeing somebody and thinking nothing of hurting somebody.
Right.
So that's the problem in our society.
Okay, okay. So I have to ask this question. What is it that you think that you can bring to the table other than your counterpart who's running from you? What's something that you feel that you know that in your heart of hearts, that when you get in here, that you're going to focus on and then you're going to try your hardest? Because I know that, you know, you guys can only go so far, right? But what is something that is a pinpoint that you definitely want to focus on once you get in-house?
Yana, there are a lot of things that let me tell you.
Trust me, I know.
All right, so just random.
Mm-hmm.
I want to promote what's called Afro-tourism.
Oh, what is that?
Afro-tourism is what are the historical, cultural assets that people of the African diaspora have in Georgia that could be promoted as tourism for people within Georgia and outside of Georgia. So what does that mean?
That's beautiful.
That was my poorhouse.
Let me tell you something. Spelling is my friend, okay? So, you know, I'm good. Come on, talk to me so they can understand what you mean.
So there's something called the Gullah Geechee culture corridor.
Oh, let the Gully. They have some great food.
Along the coast of Georgia.
Yes, they do.
There are people in Europe and Africa who are interested in this Gullah Geechee.
What's the name of the, it's a little island down there.
It's Sapalato, I think it's Sapalato.
And you can go, and I'd love to go down there and eat.
Yeah, so it's off of, so St. Simon's Island used to be owned by black folks. And so just north of St. Simon's Island, Jekyll Island, is, I'm not pronouncing it correctly, but I think it's Sapola Island.
Research it, that's your brain nugget.
So then you have places like in Macon, you have the Harriet Tubman Museum.
Yes.
Little Richie, Otis Redding, you have James Brown, you have Thomas Dorsey, you have then you have Martin Luther King, you have the AU Center.
Nice.
So you have all of these interesting cultural, educational, civil rights, historical things in Georgia that's really unique.
Yes.
How can you brand our state as this place that people of the African diaspora can come to and enjoy as well as others, and it becomes an economic benefit. So that's one idea that I have.
I love it.
The other idea that I have is, I think Atlanta is special in terms of some so-called Black Mecca, because there are some people who do well here.
Yes. We're progressing.
We're progressing. But why not the state of Georgia being this place that truly the diversity of our state benefits from the economic thing. So I think that black folks that represent 32% of our population should be able to get better access to state contracts.
Yes.
What's called the supply chain, the port industry, all those big ships that come into Savannah, those big crates that are on those ships and goods and products in those ships.
Yes.
They unload those crates. They put them on tratrucks or trains. They drop them off into warehouses, and in the warehouses, another truck picks them up and takes them to Kroger, Publix, Walmart,
all of them.
Target, and then they go to your homes. Very few black people are involved in that whole what's called the supply chain industry, the port industry. I want to change that because I think that all the diversity of our state should benefit from the economic state. So Afro-tourism and a better job of what I call diversity, equity, and inclusion in state contracts.
That is beautiful. You guys get to hear this firsthand. And if you want to know why to vote for this gentleman, if you want to know why to put him in house, because he is advocating for you. He is making sure that you guys are not forgotten.
Right.
You know, putting you on the map. And I think that is very important because we have been slept on, so to speak, for so long. Right. But yet, African Americans in this state, a lot of people want to be us, be like us, but then you want to kill us because of the power of the black man. And if we just come together and love on it, because this is what I want, John. I would love to have a panel. I'm putting it together, so I would love you to be a part of that. Okay. I'm putting together a panel of African Americans from Dominican Republic, Nigeria, Africa, everywhere you come from, of 4 to 6 men, 4 to 6 women, and I want to sit on the panel, and I want them to learn how to bridge the gap between the hate and the discord in the families, because the world depicts us to be ratchet and thugged out, and that's not. So a movie that I'm doing right now, putting together, it's called Behind the Walls of Black Families. And I'm going to different homes, and I'm sitting down with these families, and I'm talking to them, and I'm listening to them. And I want the men to understand, listen, let's listen to these women. Women, let's respect these men so you can gain the love that you're seeking, right? And let's learn to love ourselves first and be a whole person before we try to dive into these broken relationships. And then the whole world in its whole totality will see that we are a beautiful nation.
We are. So on the one hand, there are some broken things that are part of our life and our society as Black people.
Yeah.
There's trauma that some of us have experienced. But on the positive side, we as a people, we have a degree of resiliency.
Yes.
That's, I think, unmatched by anybody else.
And we have evolved.
Yeah, we've evolved. And I think that we represent the best. Doesn't mean anybody is less than, but we still represent the best.
Yes.
And there's so much about our culture, our history, our background that I think we should be proud of. I've often been told by people, John, you really love Black people. I do love Black people. I may be a light-skinned man, but
yeah, because he's sitting up here looking Shea Whitey as ever. You hear me? Looking straight like a white boy.
That's the thing people don't realize.
That's the trick.
That we light-skinned people, we know we Black. When I look in the mirror, I see a Black man.
You hear me? He see a Black woman. I'm just kidding. But guys, my son is the same way. John, it has been amazing having you down here.
Yeah,
and I could have, it has. I could have asked you so many questions, but I didn't want to make it hard because you've been asked so many questions this morning.
Yeah.
And you will be back with us again, right? You will be back. So guys, I've loved this. It has been a tremendous opportunity to have John Eaves and our Eaves. See, I keep butchering this man's name. That's the fun of it. That's the joy of it. It has been wonderful having him down here, interviewing him, being able to let you know that he's touchable. You know, we can receive him, and he is the #1 top for the Democratic Party as Secretary of State today. So please get out and vote. Please get out and vote. Please get out and vote. And we love you. Yana-Lu with Chew and Chat.